Mahadev, 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 Mahadev. Is the sound quality okay?
Mahadev Swamiji. It is okay, Swamiji.
All right. So we shall begin. Om. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye Om Shanti 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 Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादीनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततम् पूर्णाय बोधात्मने प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थ मनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते. Arjuna had requested Bhagavan to tell him how exactly the Sthita Prajna should be defined. Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha, meaning how is he defined by other people? Because the other people are only going to see the most outer layer of our personality. But when it comes to the Shastra, it is able to take you deeper down into the person's core. The Sthita Prajna is a one whose doubtless knowledge that Atma is Brahman ever remains shining, does not get dulled, and therefore all those drawbacks which are associated with the understanding of the self as a limited entity now are not going to be there. The frustration, the anger, the regrets, ambitions, the emotional wounds, all these things are not going to be there. And as a result, all the interactions of this jnani with the world will have a different fragrance, will have a different flavor. That is the reason why he is distinct. In this world, we are bound to find very many great people with noble qualities. All those noble qualities which we admire in a human being, everything that is divine, auspicious, is something natural to this Jivan Mukta, to this Brahmajnani. And therefore, in defining him, now it is not only that how other people perceive him. In fact, Arjuna asking the definition is asking how the people of the Shastric scriptural orientation describe him, define him. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, jivan muktasya ka bhasha. Answering that question, Bhagavan Shri Krishna said, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parth manogatan. There are two important features which we come across in the very inaugural uh, words when Bhagavan Shri Krishna starts defining the Jivan Mukta. He says that there are no desires. In fact, he has renounced all desires. And to even to tell that he has renounced all the desires, Bhagavan Shri Krishna uses Prajahati Yada Kaman because he is able to resolve all desires. Let us not forget that every desire is an announcement of one's own incompleteness. It is not only an announcement of one's own incompleteness, but it is also a demand that may I be fulfilled. May I discover myself to be fulfilled. Maybe by getting money, maybe by getting progeny, maybe by getting more popularity, maybe by securing a powerful position, I will be fulfilled. And this is how people continue to chase shadows outside. But here he is who has now found that all these desires hold no significance for him. And the reason is because he is already fulfilled, and therefore the desires which are just promises of fulfillment are of no significance to him. They are all hollow, empty promises. Because having fulfilled that desire, for a little while, the person is going to feel joy and peace. But the sense of emptiness very soon envelops the person. A person he may want to have a new car, a bigger car, a brand, which which can make the neighbors jealous, which can make the what do they call, the people on the road look at you with awe. But then what? Even if they are going to be in awe for a little while till you stop at the signal, and very soon they are going to forget that they have seen you in the car. Just to impress those people, you have become, you have toiled so hard. And so we can understand how frivolous our ambitions and demands are. For him, now that was something that is existential, something that is true, that is real, the fulfillment which is real is discovered. And therefore, why have those desires become insignificant for him, because of which he has now given them up? Is because Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. He has found his fulfillment in himself. He has discovered something about his own being for which he does not require any other agency, any other thing to deliver him fulfillment. I am, and that much is sufficient. Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha sthita prajnastadochyate. Tushti over here, tushti means tripti, fulfillment, contentment is the first sign of a Jivan Mukta, of a Sthita Prajna. He does not demand the world comes to give him fulfillment. There is no need. Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. Pleased with himself. No more complaints about his own existence. Sthita prajnastadochyate. Such a person, then Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, is a sthita prajna, man of steady wisdom. And let me also tell you at this point, if our wisdom cannot bring us contentment, fulfillment, what use is this wisdom of? What is the use of this wisdom, which cannot make you fulfill? Because that is what you are striving for day and night. Right since the moment you are born till you stop breathing, that is what you are striving for. And if you do not recognize this is the true ultimate demand of your life, and if you are nowhere close to it, then everything that you have done or everything that you are doing and may do is just going to count as zero. Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha sthita prajnastadochyate. Furthermore, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has said that it is prajahati. There is an upasarga, pra. Upasarga means of a prefix to jahati. Hadatu, to give up. Tyage, parityage. Prajahati. Anandagiri says, Vasana kamatyagasya prakarshaha vasanatyagaha. What is the intensity? Because that the prefix pra is meant to show some intensity about it. Shanti, prashanti, prakarshena shanti, prakarshena chahati. Now, what is that intensity? And over here, the intensity does not mean that he chews up as if he tears away all the desires and throws them in the dustbin. No, sir. It simply means vasana tyaga. Even those latent impressions also become invalid. The effect of nididhyasanam is so much that his peace has entered even into the subconscious and unconscious level, and it burns down even those seeds which are in form of latent impressions. And therefore vasana tyaga, vasana are these latent impressions. Vasana tyaga is the prakarsha. Last time I did tell you, when Bhagavan Shri Krishna says manogatan, it is indicative of the fact that none of these desires, etc., belong to Atma. They belong to the manomaya kosha. It belongs to the mind, to the psychology. And because it is anatma, and therefore it can be given up. So those people who think that the desires are embedded intrinsically into the nature of this self are wrong, because desire is something that is foreign. It comes and goes. It is illumined. Its presence is illumined. Its growth is illumined. It going into the subconscious, unconscious. Everything is illumined as known and unknown. And therefore, it definitely is not Atma, it is Anatma. Therefore, its giving up is possible. And this giving up, renunciation of the desire is possible, and therefore it belongs to the category of Anatma. It is Anatma Dharma. That is what we have seen. तर्हि प्रवर्तकाभावात् विदुषः सर्वप्रवृत्तेः उपशान्तिः इति. Now he says that if there is no desire, generally desire is considered to be the propelling factor behind all our actions. And if those desires themselves are given up, then how is he able to even conduct the daily transactions? How is he able to conduct the transactions necessary for living? Tarhi pravartaka bhava vidushaha sarva pravrittehe upashantihi. He says, no. सर्वकाम परित्यागे तुष्टिकारणाभावात् शरीर धारण निमित्त शेषे उन्महा. And so also there is one more thing that you will have to notice, and that is that though he does not have any desires, yet the body mind complex will continue to live, since it has come for a stipulated period of time because of prarabdha. Because of prarabdha karma. So sharira dharana nimitta is the prarabdha. And he does not have, so he is living, but he does not have any reason to be fulfilled. And therefore, his actions are going to be so random. His actions are going to be to be illogical, irrational. The rationality behind all our actions is that I am doing it so that I can be fulfilled. I am doing this, I am eating this, I am talking to somebody, I am not talking to somebody. And the real reason is because I think that will make me happy. Now, even when he does not have this prayojan, this has the purpose, and yet if he is living, which means the actions will continue, then his actions are bound to be unmatta pramattavat, like a drunkard, illogical, irrational actions, to which Bhagavan Shankaracharya answers in his commentary, and he says, Pratyagatma Swarupe Svena eva Bahyalabh Nirapekshaha Paramartha Darshanamrita Rasalabhena Tushtaha Anyasmad Alam Pratyayavan. He says, because now he has known the self as Brahman. You and me, we all know I am. This I am is not something that a new experience that you have to generate. Everybody knows I, but for you and me, the meaning of this I is incomplete entity. Incompleteness is the mark of this I. For him, the meaning of this I is that existence in which everything is the content, and that what is the content is only an appearance. That what I am, and therefore there is nothing that is not attained by him. Everything is attained by him as the very self of everything. Pratyagatma swarupe eva svena eva bahyalabh nirapekshaha. And therefore he does not expect anything. Bahya means bahya means external agency to come and deliver him happiness, peace, joy. But he is fulfilled paramartha rasalabhena by the true juice of life. And then paramartha darshanamrita rasalabhena tushtaha. And towards everything else, how is he? Anyasmad alam pratyayavan. And therefore, if you are going to ask, do you need anything to make you fulfilled? He says, no, not required. Alam pratyaha. You know what is alam pratyaya? Pratyaya means an experience, and or and alam means enough. Alam means enough. You keep on pouring fuel into the fire is never going to say enough. The fire never says enough. For fire, it will be give me more, and therefore fire does not have alam pratyaya and is therefore called as anala. Analam never says enough. But here we have the Jivan Mukta who says alam, enough. Whatever has to be had, I have already had. Now you cannot allure me. Nothing can threaten me. Nothing can make me insecure. Here I am, alam pratyayava. Bas, in Hindi, etc. We don't use that expression bas. Kafi hai, paryapt hai, enough. Like that. Uh, Hmm. Shankaranandi Tika has something to say over here, and it says, यथा लब्धामृतस्य अन्नजलादव अलम बुद्धिः तद्वत् आत्मस्वरूपानन्दानुभव शालिनः सर्वत्र अपि अलम बुद्धिः एतेन नामुष्य विदुषः धारण स्पृहा यदर्थम् उन्मत्तवद् भोजनादि कर्मणि प्रवर्तेत. Now, since this person has this alam pratyaya enough, and he is already fulfilled, now he is not going to have actions which are irrational, because even those irrational actions also mean a demand for fulfillment. No, no such thing is going to ever happen. And therefore, some people very often say that when a person is enlightened, he starts behaving strangely. It is not strangely. The strangeness that you are going to find in him is not his eccentric nature. The strangeness is that how is he able to be so joyful, so peaceful, even without the things that we consider are necessary to be happy. This is the strangeness. The strangeness is not that he starts behaving eccentric, because some people have got very weird ideas about enlightenment. They think a person becomes strange, starts talking strangely, behaving strangely. It is not. The only difference is that he is at extreme peace with himself. And also, therefore, he is extremely at peace with the entire world. So, हा यदर्थम उन्मत्तवत् भोजनादि कर्मणि न प्रवर्तेत नापि क्षुत्रण बाधा आत्मानुसंधान आत्मानुभवानंद व्यग्रत्वात् नापि शरीरपातः यावत् प्रारब्धः तस्यापातात्. The body will continue to live as long as it is set to live through the mechanism of prarabdha. And he is not going to be tortured by any of these desires, ambitions, regrets, none of these things, or even pride. He is not going to be tortured, roasted by any of these. Huh? So over here, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has given a very important lakshana. Lakshana means a very distinguishing characteristic, and that is he gives up. The one who has given up all the desires and is content, he is fulfilled by himself and in himself. Atmanieva Atmana Tushtaha. That is the first thing to be noticed. Next, in further, that is how the person is going to be in his samadhi. He is not going to be tortured, bothered by the what do they call, by the desires, etc. Try sitting for a few minutes and you will see how you are tossed by your own desires, left, right, and center. There is no one over here to disturb you when you are just sitting by yourself in your room. Then what is it that is disturbing you? What is that is propelling you, pushing you, and that is your own desires? So the disturbance is not due to anything that is external. The cause of disturbance is the presence of desires, which is now absent in him. And so his trupti, his tushti remains intact. Further, when he is not absorbed in samadhi, but he is very much interacting with the world, that means he is going to be in situations which we generally see as situations of joy or sorrow, situations of appreciation and rejection, sukha and dukkha. We are going to see situations which have these, which are pairs of opposites. And so he is also going to be surrounded by situations like this. And since he is not absorbed in samadhi, he is very much aware of everything that is outside. Now, how is he going to escape it? And therefore, the next verse which we are going to see is the verse which is talking about the Jivan Mukta, the Sthita Prajna, in the state of transactions with the world. Vyuthita Chittasya. Idanim Vyuthitasya Sthitaprajnasya Bhashanopaveshana Gamanani Mudajana Vilakshanani Vyacheyani. Now, therefore, there is a need to show how different is he from rest of the ignorant people. Okay, when he is very much in transactions with the world. Verse number 56. Dukkeshvanudvignamanaha. Dukkeshvanudvignamanaha. Sukheshu vigatasprihaha. Sukheshu vigatasprihaha. Vitaragabhayakrodhaha. Vitaragabhayakrodhaha. Sthitadhirmuniruchyate. Sthitadhirmuniruchyate. Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. The one who remains undisturbed even in the face of adversities. Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. The one whose mind remains undisturbed even in adversities. And when something is conducive and happy situations over there, sukheshu vigatasprihaha. He is free from the longing even when in happy situations, without yearning, without longing. Vigatasprihaha, vitaraga bhayakrodhaha. And he is the one from whom the raga, raga means the uh, uh, yes, the longing. Actually, raga means being colored. So raga, we will say that rasa, it actually means rasa, the interest. Okay, yes, raga means the interest. A person has deeply rooted interest, and as long as that interest is there, the interest is bound to now create desires. You may not have a desire, but that the interest is there. And if it is going to have a situation, it is going to have an environment which is conducive, then the interest will turn into a desire, into an ambition. So Vitaraga, raga is interest. Vitaragaha, Vita bhayaha, the one who is free from bhayam, insecurity, bhayaha, and krodhaha, free from frustration, anger. Now that anger just does not mean that a person who is actually shouting and grinding his teeth or something like that. Anger over here also can be silently seated anger, which is in form of frustration, which is in form of frustration. So vitaraga bhaya krodhaha sthitadhihi muniruchyate. Such a the person of a steady wisdom is called as the muni, is a contemplative person in whom the knowledge remains unshaken. Sthita prajnaha. So sthitadihi muniruchyate, such a muni, mananashilaha. Okay. So over here, what are the things that we are going to see? One is dukkheshu anudvignamanaha, the one whose mind remains undisturbed. When is the mind disturbed? When the situations are not conducive, in adversities. So here is something that we need to learn, because Bhagwan Bhashyakara has said that what is natural to the Jivan Mukta should become an ideal for a sadhaka, for a spiritual aspirant. What is natural? Here he is able to stay calm and collected, even in situations which otherwise are, are very disturbing. Okay? Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigataspraha, and he is free from yearning for happy situations. Okay? Because once when you are in a happy situation, you want the situation to continue. You want that situation, that moment to expand, to continue. He does not. Because even if you want, it is going to end. Even if you want, it is going to end. People are going to honeymoon. They want, this is the best time. We are in love with each other and in sunshine and the sea beach and eating, licking that ice cream over there and just looking at each other in the eyes, and hey, it should remain like this forever. If it remains like that forever, you licking the ice cream, sitting on the beach, just imagine the calories that you are going to have. Situation is remaining the same. With great difficulty, you you know you have reduced the weight, and now that you're going to gain it there. Vigatha, Sukheshu vigata sprihaha. So this fellow is free from yearning, which means he does not say that let this continue and let this be forever. Aha, it has come, it will go, and allows it to go. Therefore, he just does not live on memories of happy days. Memories of happy days. You must have seen people open up their, those photo albums and keep on looking. What nice days were those. Eh? Become nostalgic. Nice days. Those were nice days. They should have had continued, Swamiji, for some time. So no yearning, because whether the situations are conducive or not conducive, he has discovered something in which his tripti, his fulfillment does not get reduced even by an iota, even by smallest measure. Therefore, what situations come and what situations go, it really does not matter. He is present in those situations and he will respond appropriately. He will not respond to those situations out of anger, insecurity, yearning, longing. These are not the centers from which he will be responding to the situations. He is responding to the situations from a center, from a point, from where there is total joy, total content. And therefore, dukkheshu anudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigatasprihaha, vitaragaha. Huh? For him, now if you, what interests you so much? How much you tell us your interests, Everything is equally interesting. Because when you are going to say something is more interesting than the other, you already have created a category in which you can be trapped to be bored. This is what is interesting to me and not the other thing. No, do you have a guarantee that the other thing will not happen to you ever? Never. And therefore, vitaragaha, vita bhayaha. So he is not even bored. That vitaraga is already telling you that he does not have, that sense of being bored, fruitless, listless. Shanti. He does not find that his life is dull or anything. And why? Because he's vitaraga. Vitaragaha. Vita bhayaha. Vita means vigata. The one from whom all these things have left. Vigata ragaha. Vigata bhayaha. Vigata krodhaha is what is vitaraga, vita bhayaha, and vita krodhaha. Such a muni, and he is muni mananashilaha, the one who naturally he is given to contemplation on the self. And so, Munihi Sthitadhihi iti uchyate. Thus, now we find that such a person is called as the person of a steady wisdom. Now, what did we discover in this particular verse? That he is not somebody who is sitting in an absorbed state of samadhi, but he is very much into this world, interacting with the world, and therefore he is in a state of empirical transactions over here. Ha dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. Now let us go through this with a little more um, details that are provided, that are given to us, a light that is thrown on this by Madhusudana Saraswati. Dukkhani trividhani. Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. What are the dukkhas? So he says the dukkhas are threefold. Huh? The dukkhas are three types. What are those three? Adi bhautika, Adi daivika, and Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika. These are the three categories of dukkhas. Now let us go see that whatever may be the category of dukkha, yet the person remains shant, peaceful and collected. How? Let's see. Dukkhani trividhani. Shok, moha, jvara, shirorogadi nimittani adhyatmikani. Now, what are called as the adhyatmika dukkhas? Dukkhas which are centered on this body-mind complex. Dukkhas which are centered on the body-mind complex. These are adhyatmika dukkhas. What are those? Shoka. Shoka means some sort of a regret, sorrow is shoka. Okay, shoka. Moha, some form of infatuation, etc. Shoka, moha, or some physical ailment like jvara, falling sick. Shirorogadi, or it could be some sort of a disease, torturous disease in the body. Okay? When one is cast, when the situation is non-conducive due to all these conditions, these dukkhas are called as adhyatmika dukkhas, meaning when the misery is centered on the body-mind complex, it is called as adhyatmika dukkham. Okay. Vyagra sarpadi prayuktani adi bhautikani. Now, the bhayat, etc., the insecurity, fear, or an actual threat to life is cast by, by a tiger or a snake chasing you, or it could be even as something as microscopic like a virus, which is external. It is not your own body or mind which has created it. It is something that is external. So, Vyagra Sarpadi Prayuktani Adi Bhautikani. These are called as Adi Bhautikas. Physical, from this physical world. From the Physical. So what is the source? If the source of the misery is this body mind complex, then that misery is called as Adi Bhautika. If the source is a physical world, then it is called as Adi Bhautika. Then there are the miseries can be caused by factors which are beyond everyone's control. Tsunami. What can a president of a country also do over there? Tell. Tsunami. I'm the most powerful man of this world. Stop. Right? Stop. You will be washed away. Go. He will be the first person to be taken away by the commandos, his bodyguards, vacated from this place. Isn't it? So, Adi Daivikani, which are Ativrishti, Ativat, Ityadi Hetukani, because of the torrential rain or a tornado, cyclone. These are factors which are beyond everyone's control. And therefore, when these are factors which are beyond everyone's control, are the cause of the misery, are the source of the misery, then such misery is called as Adi Daivika. It is called as Adi Daivika. Okay. Ativata, Ativrishyadi, Hetukani, Adhidaivikani. So now what are the dukkha's? We have found the dukkha's can have three sources, and therefore these are the three different dukkha's. Dukkheshu. Dukkheshu is Bahuvachanam. So all these three. Teshu dukkeshu raja parinama santapatmaka chitta vritti vishesheshu. And whenever they arrive, these dukkhas come, whenever such situations arise, they are bound to create thoughts, waves in the mind, which are basically of rajoguna, which are basically of. So that time the mind is bound to become Rajoguna Pradhan, is bound to become dominated by Rajoguna. And then Santapatmaka Chitta Vritti Visheshaha. And when this happens, then there is a sense of being cast into the fire internally, which means there is an internal torture. So, santapatmaka, tapatmaka, santapatmaka. Tapa means burning, actually means torture. So, one will be tortured when the situations arise, because that is what the mind goes into the mode of Rajoguna. Okay? Chitta vritti vishesheshu. Prarabdha papa karma prapiteshu. And why are you even in these situations where these sources are meeting you? So over there we say prarabdha karma prapiteshu, because of the prarabdha. The karma has brought you these situations. Okay? No dvignam dukkha parihara akshamataya vyakulam nabhavati mano yasya so anudvigna manaha. So what happens when situations like this arise? The person is bound to find that he is helpless. And this feeling of helplessly subjected to this dukkha makes a person vyakulam. Vyakulam means as if churned from inside, as if churned from inside, very disturbed. In different words, what actually it means is becomes disturbed. Even if there is a situation, and if you know that the situation is very much under your control, within your capacity, you are not disturbed, is not it? If you are thirsty and you know there is water in the pot, I just need to, release the tap and take the water. Now you are not going to be disturbed. Now you are thirsty, but there is no water and you are locked in the room, because of which you can't even get drinking water. Now you are going to be disturbed. Now, a simple thing like thirst also can make you disturbed. Why? Because it is beyond your capacity. And therefore, when does a person becomes disturbed? Ha dukkha parihara akshamataya. When he discovers that he does not have the capacity to change the situation, to reduce that dukkha misery, that time the person becomes disturbed. Now, up to this point, we understand when can a person become disturbed. What is remarkable about the Jivan Mukta, about this Sthita Prajna, is that even when situations are like this, he does not get disturbed. You understand? Na bhav vyakulam na bhavati mano yasya, does not become vyakula. And therefore, such a person is called as Anudvigna Manaha. What is he called? Anudvigna Manaha. The one whose mind is not disturbed. But when does the mind gets disturbed? Under dukkham. Under the dukkham, what are the dukkhas? Adi bhautika, adhyatmika, adi daivika. And even when they come, when does he really become disturbed? When he discovers that the situations are beyond his capacity. This is what is natural for all of us. That about him is that he does not get disturbed. Now, there is a very interesting explanation and an observation which Madhusudana Saraswati has provided about this. And that is, he says, sir, we say that the dukkham has come because of prarabdha. Correct? The dukkham has come because of prarabdha. But even the person getting identified with the body-mind complex and then complicating the problem furthermore, that also should be called as prarabdha, because that is also dukkham. Then that is also due to prarabdha. And we are therefore now going to see this fine difference, fine line of difference. Situation of misery and becoming miserable are two different things. Situation can be of misery, but that does not mean that you have to become miserable. And they are two different issues. There can be dukkham, But that does not mean there is the Dukhi is born, Mr. Dukhi. There is that distinction. Let's see that when we meet next, and then so we can proceed to the next shloka also. And because there are quite a bit till the end of this chapter. So we will see this one point which Madhusudana Saraswati has brought in his commentary and then proceed to the next one. Right? Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Thank you all. Thank you.